Bam! Yeah! Good afternoon. Apple is a lot like that friend that disregards your feelings and does whatever the f they want, and for some reason that you don't even know, you keep on being friends with them. For example, the iPhone 4, when that first came out, when Apple told everybody that they were holding it wrong, they went ahead and did things their own way even though people were having problems with them. Certainly not customer service oriented, if you ask me. Or how about the lack of expandable storage? It's been that way since day one, and people have been willingly handing over larger chunks of money to get more storage, so people obviously want more storage. And you hear people gripe about Apple's lack of expandable storage all the time, but they keep making phones with no expandable storage because it makes them more money, even though we want them to give us expandable storage. Let's take the headphone jack. Did anybody ask them to remove that? I'm sure there's somebody somewhere that wanted the headphone jack removed because they thought it was obsolete. But for the majority, I think we can all agree that nobody wanted the headphone jack to go away. But Apple made it go away. I've even heard people say they hate it. The removal of it, that is. While they stood in line to buy another iPhone. Apple didn't do that for us. It's more like they did it to us. But they did it because it was in their best interests. They even said that it took a lot of courage for them to make that move. They knew that people wouldn't like it, and they did it anyway. How about universal charging ports? This goes back to another video that I made about why Apple chose the charging port that they did instead of choosing micro USB or USB Type-C. Nobody asked them to create a proprietary charging port, but they did since day one. Nobody asked them to change it either. Now, to be fair, the 30 pin was like that freaking big, and the Lightning is like that big. So I understand them needing to get something new because number one, it wasn't fast with data speeds, and number two, it just was smaller. So I get that part. But they were acting in their best interests, not in their customers. And the last point before we go to the Samsung flip side of things is the throttling of old iPhones to protect the battery. Bullshit. Any cell phone, even by 2017, 2018 standards that is a year old, is like middle-aged. What the f, man? But anyway, nobody asked them to do that. In fact, they hid it from us. And not only did they hide it and not tell us, but when they got exposed for it, then they have the audacity to say that they were doing it in our best interest. No, 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 no. Once again, acting in their own best interests and not in the interests of the people that pay their bills. Now let's take a look at the Samsung side of these same issues. When Samsung had battery problems with their Note 7, they ordered a complete recall. And the amount of phones that had a problem with the released Note 7s was less than 0.01%, but they still said, hold everything, take them all back, and you know what? For your trouble, we're gonna give you the next best phone, the S7 Edge, instead. It's the best they could do. They goofed, but they owned it, and they tried to fix it, and they didn't fix it the first time, but then they tried to fix it again. Point being, they don't blame us for their mistakes, like some other companies do, the non-expandable storage part. Samsung had that. Actually, most, if not all, Android phones have had that since day one. And they even tried to get rid of it. And guess what happened? People at them, lost their minds. I call 2015 Samsung's oops year because that's the year they're like, hey, let's take away expandable storage, and because, you know, maybe people will like that. And everybody's like, bruh! And they're like, okay. Next model after that, and all subsequent models have had expandable storage because they listened. Samsung used to use plastic in their phones, thinking, oh, well, this is durable. Yeah, this is great. It makes the phones cheap and light. People don't like heavy phones, apparently, and everybody's like, we want premium! We want premium! Why is Samsung so premium? So they're like, okay, cool. Metal and glass it is. Here you go. And the first time that happened, they didn't get it right because they took away expandable storage, but we've already covered that. They fixed it, and it stayed fixed. Nobody asked for the headphone jack to go away, and Samsung didn't take it away. wow. On one hand, yes, it does give them a really nice marketing ploy to accentuate the fact that they didn't get rid of the headphone jack when Apple did, and several other people actually. But the fact remains that nobody asked them to take it off, and they didn't take it off. Had there been large amounts of demand for no headphone jack, which I can't fathom, then everything historically points to Samsung being very likely to have removed it. With the Note 7 and S8 and on, Samsung switched to USB Type-C. They could have easily created a proprietary charger of their own, acting in their best interests instead of their customers, but they didn't. They said, oh, USB Type-C is going to become the standard and replace micro USB across a huge amount of electronics, not just cell phones. They listen to us, unlike some other companies, and they seemingly care about our input as much as a corporation of that size can care about its customers, especially in the more recent years. So let me ask you this. Which company would you rather invest your time and money into? This video will now end with an appreciation for our patrons, starting with the Scotties, anywhere from $10 to $15 a month, and those are Stuart Glover, Kyler, Spidget, Eric Price, Stephen Nichols, Nick Hawks, Sin O, Josh Utley, Shannon Jones, Unit Omega, and Christopher Caswell.
I stay with my Scotties. My Scotties are my boys. I ride with them. And I put that on the generation.
Next there are the Super Beamers, the ones who pay anywhere from $5 to $6 a month, and that's Albert. And for the Beamers, anywhere from $1 to $2 a month, we have a new addition, and that is David Larson, along with Excelsior and Encrypted Bunny. Stay cared for, and stay beaming. But the fact, certainly not customer service, mine, somebody somewhere that decided, that wanted, instead of choosing US micro, Samsung contra these, is of course the non-authorized, is the, fuck. So let's just skip to the, then it gives them a marketing piece of leverage. I suppose with the